Okay, so here's a quick video on how to achieve some down and dirty rust effects with some weathering acrylic paints that just came out by Secret Weapons. Here are 4 of them, but there is, I think, about 12 to 15 total colors. And I gotta say, these paints are really great. They really work very good for weathering effects. So these are some shipping containers that I'm working on. Here's another one that's finished that you can see. And this is just really quick work. So I'm going to show you real quick on this reddish burgundy container. And these are the tools. I'm just using an old toothbrush, and I'm using an old brush right here as well for the detail. So I'm going to start by working the back side of this, and that's all I'm going to do, and then I will show you the finished shipping container once I'm completely finished. But this is the order of the paints that I use, starting with the metallic. It's a black metal in the Model Air. You can use the regular model color or game color. It just happened to be the one that I chose. You kind of want a darker metal to start with. You don't want to use a bright silver because this is supposed to be chipped, weathered metal that you're trying to achieve. You can also use a bright silver to hit edges and kind of give it a freshly chipped or hit part of the metal. So I'm going to dip the tip of this toothbrush into the metal paint, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the edges right here, and I'm just going to drag and kind of let the bristles achieve the effects of streaks, like it's weathered and wearing out. You can also use a sponge. You can use, a flat utility type brush. You could really use anything you have. I didn't have a sponge, so I had this old toothbrush, and it works fine. You just have to figure out the best method for what you're trying to achieve. And like I said, this is not for a contest or anything. This is just good looking, quick weathering. I'm just going to go ahead and hit this all around, because the main parts that are going to be weathered and rusted are going to be all the parts that get handled the most, which would be all the edges, and then you're going to get some dings within the center of the metal. So you could do any kind of streaks, something like that. You can stipple, create some pits like that. I think that's good enough. You don't want to overdo it. Rinse the toothbrush off. So that's where we have, that's step 1. That's with the black metallic Model Air paint. The next step, which you're really going to start to see things come around, are it's going to be with this new brown rust by Secret Weapons. It's their new acrylic paint line, and this is the primary rust color that sets the base for all the others. Sorry if this seems a little rushed. It is, because I have to be somewhere in about 30 minutes. So I'm trying to get this done so I can share it with you on our Facebook page, as well as our tutorial page on fanization.com. So next I'm going to take the same toothbrush and dip the brush in the paint, and I'm going to hit in the same areas. I really want to focus on all the edges. So all the edges are going to be the main spots I'm going to hit, and then I will hit some in the center as well, just to give some additional rust. And what you want to do is you want to make sure your brush is a little on the drier side. You don't want to dip in the water and just leave it wet. You want to try and flick some of that water off. Hit these corners, because those things are going to get dinged up a lot. this darker rust color, the brown rust, it's really the base for the foundation for all the other rust colors. So, go ahead and stipple this corner, hit in there a little bit, stipple over here, and even stipple some rust down on the bottom by itself. You don't necessarily need to have the metal chips. Get this corner, we'll make this corner the rusty corner. Maybe it was exposed to some kind of element more than the others. So there's the brown rust. And the next step, we're going to use the orange rust. And like I said, this is Secret Weapon's new weathering paint line, and it's an acrylic, so it is a paint. It's not an ink or a powder, which is really nice. And just go ahead and put some on your palette. Now we're going to use our utility junk brush. So this is going to be the brush that we're going to kind of stipple the orange rust is what it's called. So I'm going to hit these heavier spots and just kind of get an irregular pattern. You don't want to have the same kind of pattern everywhere. You want it to look different. And just lightly touch it so it gives that dotted rust pattern, sort of like different spots are rusting. We'll hit this corner a little bit more on the top. The rust, you could even pull it down so it looks like it's maybe streaking a little. If you go into the paint, that's fine, because the rust would go down into the paint. So keep working this. A little bit over here in the middle. Like a streak. Stipple this a little bit. Side. Gotta do this quick because paint tends to dry very fast in this weather. We're gonna be in the mid-90s today, and it's already getting hot and it's early morning. Alright, so I think that's good for this. So that's what we have so far. And the next step is going to be a yellow rust, and this is going to be even lighter, and this is going to complement the orange rust, and it's going to go in the same spots because it's going to be part of that rust weathering look. You don't want to put the yellow rust by itself. It would look a little odd because rust does go in stages where it builds up. It doesn't just start contrast all the time. So, and this you just want to hit a little bit, and this is just kind of to give it a little accent, a little more color, so it looks more interesting. You can streak it as well. Not too much, because you don't want it to look weird. You're not trying to paint it yellow, you're just trying to add a little color variation with this. A little will go a long way. Alright, so we've added our yellow, maybe just a little bit more on this bottom corner since it's the heaviest part of the rust. And use your finger to kind of smudge stuff around if you don't like it. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, the final step, which is an alternate step, but I tried it yesterday and I liked it a lot, it's a red rust, which is kind of a darker rust color, and it kind of gave a little pop here and there. So I'm going to apply it similar to the yellow rust. I'm going to be very light with it and just apply it in certain spots. I also want to apply it where the actual paint is, just to give that darker effect. And you can do it in a different order, however you choose. This is just something that I've been working with. I think with the container kind of being a burgundy red, this one is not popping quite as much as it did on the other ones. You can still see it, and it's still going to give you a color variation. But that's why you try different things out to see what works and what doesn't. Just want to add a little bit here and there just to kind of break things up. Alright, so I think that's about it, and maybe add some into the metallic part over here. And there we have it. There's a quick weathering technique with the new Secret Weapons acrylic rust line, and here's another shipping container that was done with the same method, same steps. You can go pretty quick with this. You take your brush and you kind of take your toothbrush and you make streaks, so you have to press down, which is kind of cool looking. Same with right here. You want to hit where it's weathered the most, the doors. You can see how it's all chipped along the side. It's streaked inside, like they've been moving cargo in and out on the sides. So that's it. I mean, you can even go as far as painting the logo and whatnot. I'm not doing that because I don't have time for that. This is good enough for the project, but you can see the different streaking and rust effects. You can really get a realistic look with these new Secret Weapon rusting paints. So I highly recommend them. They're really nice. And that's it. Thanks for watching.